Hello winter, and hello another great deal from your local Supergas. All new customers can get 2 45-kilo LPG cylinders for the price of one. That's right, 2 for the price of one. Call Supergas now on 13 78 72. Yes, we can. Hello winter, and hello another great deal from your local Supergas. All new customers can get 2 45-kilo LPG cylinders for the price of one. That's right, 2 for the price of one. Call Supergas now on 13 78 72. Yes, we can. Hello.
Good afternoon and welcome to Kurri Sports Ground for round 11 of the Newcastle Rugby League. And, it's a big game in prospect here today between Kurri and Lakes. This is a game that's going to have a hell of a lot of impact on the final standings at the end of the season. I may have said round 11. It's actually round 12 of the Newcastle Rugby League. How time flies. Only 5 rounds to go until we're into the semi-finals. Will Kurri be there? That's the question that will go a long way to being answered today. They've got Lakes United for the second time in 3 weeks. A fortnight ago, they rolled them in a big performance here in front of a vocal home crowd. And guess what? They're here again in front of a vocal home crowd, and they're making their way out onto the ground at the moment. Led out by the Bulldog, who's looking absolutely delighted with himself. You just see him on your screen now, charging out there. Morgan Campbell is my name, and it's Lakes United and Kurri in round 12. And the teams, well, we've only got one of them so far. I can tell you that for Lakes, it's as per program with one addition to the bench. Number 1, Kyle Kennedy. 2, Cal Guest. 3, Marcel Ikanofo. 4, Josh Charles. 5, James Varker. 6, Jack Kelly. And 7, Brad Murray. 8, Sean Boss. 9, Jay Sullivan. 10, Casey Burgess. 11, Marcus Marsh. 12, Chris Randall. 13, James DeSax. On the bench, 14, Josh Hayes. 15, Kurtley Hope Hodgetts. 16, Chance Burgess. And 17, Lyndon Hills. Now, who's playing for Kurri? That's a very good question. We don't quite know yet because the team sheet hasn't come up into the broadcast box. We've got a rough enough idea out of the program, but we haven't got the full side just yet. But all is in readiness here. Lakes, top of the table. They had a week in second place after losing to Kurri last week, but then Kurri beat Macquarie and restored Lakes to the top of the table. Kurri sitting 6th, 1 point out of the top 5. Cessnock with a relatively easy game today against Maitland. They'd be expecting to win. If Kurri were to lose today, they could be 3 points out of the finals. Tom Aylett's our referee. He's got the whistle in his mouth. And we're away at Kurri. It's round 2, only a fortnight apart. Kurri up against Lakes. And the crowd is vocal already as Mick Campton takes the first hit up of the day. And Kurri lined up and fired up here, playing for their season. That's Cameron Moran, who's wearing the number 3 jumper. And they set up again. That's an inside ball there. And the 11 is Jaden Young. And they go across here to the big 10, Brock Gilmore. And he's put to ground heavily there. Strong Lakes defence so far. And the kick's going to come from Granger here, who hoofs it downfield and sets a bit of a task for Kennedy, who's into the side today. Jamie Gilmore here played reserve grade. And so the pressure is on Kennedy to keep that place, and he starts safely enough and brings it out past the 20. And on they come. Lakes with their first use of the ball. Defending premiers this year, of course. They've had their stutters. They've had 2 sensational games against Kurri already this season. One a 14 all draw, and the other a very narrow Kurri victory. There won't be many sides this year who take 3 points out of their 2 games with Lakes United. Here's Jay Sullivan up the middle. That's been pretty narrow from Lakes so far. And they go out the back to Murray. He just sticks it on the boot and sends them chasing. This is Griffiths, who's going to pick it up. He's, of course, played a bit of fullback, Josh Griffiths. He's on the wing today. Elliot Niscott at fullback. I've just received the team. It's as per program. Ethan Niscott at fullback. 2, Josh Griffiths. 3, Cameron Moran. 4, Cade Hardy. 5, Joel Harrison. 6, Mitch Cullen. 7, Hayden Granger. 8, Mick Campton. 9, Corey Holman. And 10, Brock Gilmore. 11, Jaden Young. 12, Brady Hammond. And 13, Ben Wyborn. As over there is that 12, Brady Hammond. And he's on a bit of a run over on that left-hand side. And suddenly Kurri can work down a short side here. And up they come. And the defence is strong enough there on Hardy, the goal-kicking centre, but now it's Cullen. And he sends this one downfield. It's over the head of Kennedy. He has to go back and retrieve. The chase is not too bad. And the tackle's good from Jaden Young. Plenty of energy here from Kurri so far. Here's Marcel Ikanofo. And he's hard to stop 1-on-1, and then he's hard to stop 2-on-1. And then it's 3-on-1 and 4-on-1, and finally they get him down. Now Murray. And there's a strong hit up there. Up the centre. That was Marcus Marsh in 11. That's DeSax in 13. Lakes using the big men. Now Kelly. Kelly got absolutely flattened, but he got a good ball away. That's Randall. Randall's got someone outside him, and I think it might be Ikanofo. It is. And Ikanofo's over to score the first try. And that was lovely play by Lakes. Jack Kelly had to be so brave there going to the line. He knew he was going to get smashed. He did get smashed, but he threw the telling pass. And Lakes are on the board after only a couple of minutes here. It's 4-0. And it came about from smashing it up the middle and then sending it wide. And that was very, very crisp in the back line. They'd have excuses for a little bit of, well, to lack a little bit of sharpness in attack. They've had a lot of chopping and changing this season, of course, with Chris Adams now out of the team. But it didn't affect them too much there. Lovely play. Jack Kelly back at 5'8" today. He played hooker last week against Cessnock with Sullivan at 5'8", but they've swapped again today. And now Brad Murray has the chance to make it 6-0. So here's Murray, getting plenty of coaching from the old boys stand, no doubt. And it's away. Well, the coaches have their way, so it remains 4-0 here. 4.5 minutes gone. But worrying signs for Kurri, a bit of soft defence on the edge. Letting Lakes get the first points. So away we go again. And it's Moran setting it very high, and maybe too high. This is going very long in the end. But it's taken on the dead ball line. And that was a close run thing. And so Lakes start again. And so here's Varka. And I may have called him Ikanofo a moment ago, but that's definitely James Varka there. Now Murray. And away they go. And that's Marsh. And they had Casey Burgess promoting the ball there. Now Sullivan on a scamper. And Kurri are flagging a little bit early here. And now Burgess is in a dummy half. To Murray. That's Randall. And the kick down there from Sullivan. And Niscott's just going to watch this one trickle into the fence. So, a bit dusty the kick in the end. Gets Kurri out of jail. But they just need to steady here. Lakes making good metres with the ball. And they're going to go wide straight away at Kurri. Over there to Hammond. And that's Cullen at dummy half. Very important player for Kurri. If they're going to score points, he's going to be the man that puts a lot of them on. No Terence See-You in the side, of course, today for Kurri. He got injured in the very last tackle of last week's win over Macquarie. As there's Ben Wyborn with the ball. They go over to Gilmore, and he just goes straight at them, and that's a good carry. And it takes Boss down low to get him down. Here's Cullen. A flat pass there at the line. It's blunt attack so far from Kurri. Here's Cullen. And Granger. Niscott's offside on the inside there. But he's going to hunt Kennedy all the same. And Kennedy was a little bit anxious on that, but now he's got it. And he makes a bit of ground as well. So they start from a couple of metres out from their own line. And there's a run from Varka, who just decided to go it alone. And he looked for the pass. Kennedy was coming up the inside there. looking for the ball. They thought better of it. That's Charles. Lakes with the impetus so far. And as Burgess plays it, they go at the back to Murray. And Murray finds Kelly. And then we've seen this before, but it's Kennedy this time and nearly slices them open. They got him. Good tackle down low from Hardy. And now Kelly, who was under a bit of pressure there, and it's a wobbly old kick for Niscott to pursue. And Niscott comes back and makes life a little bit difficult for the chasers with a tackle bust there. And Kurri starting again with Hardy. Getting involved, helping out the forwards there, Cade Hardy. It's a slow play the ball and too slow for the liking of Tom Aylett. So a chance here for Kurri. Aylett not copying any of that in the ruck. And Mitch Cullen can pump this towards the commentary box or into the car park, bust a windshield and set Kurri up from about 35 metres from the Lakes United line. And it's Moran to tap. And Young to hit it up. It's Corey Holman in the 9. And that's Granger in the 7 and Cullen in the 6 and Niscott in the 1. And Cassandra McDonald's involved over here on the short side, retrieving a ball from inside the field of play as Hammond carts it up. And he's dumped. Holman away. Now Wyborn. It's an ordinary pass to Granger, but it was well taken. And they're 15 metres away. And here's Gilmore. And he bashes into them again. Great run. Last tackle. What do they have? Deep both sides of the ruck. It's out to Cullen. Cullen might stick this on the boot. He does. And it's taken very well by Kennedy. And now Kennedy's got some space to run into and he's outpaced Niscott as Kyle Kennedy. He gets the stammers and stumbles. And he's taken down eventually by Hardy. But if Kennedy had kept clean footing there, he might have been away. But they roll on with Ikanofo. Danger. Big danger for Kurri. Lakes on the counter. 4-0 Lakes already here. 10 minutes gone. That's DeSax. And Sullivan and Murray are plotting here. But Sullivan goes it alone. And there's a big run and a big hit from Randall. Sullivan away to Kelly. Flat ball to DeSax, and the intercept was on, but now there's 6 to go. They're going to say knock on Kurri. Lakes are going to get this back. It was pretty poorly worked from Lakes, though, too close to the line. But the Kurri defenders couldn't take it cleanly. And they're going to have to withstand another set of pressure. And I think it's Cade Hardy over there who's in a little bit of trouble. The former Maitland man is on his back there. No indication yet of whether he's going to carry on. He's getting to his feet. So it looks like he is. Although, dear oh dear, he's a bit dusty. I think it's his shoulder it seems to be holding awkwardly there. So I just wonder. But they go across to Varka. From the scrum. Lakes with a full set of tackles here. Sullivan away to Murray. And Murray looks for Marsh. And Marsh goes head on into Campton, who's in the 18, not the 8. Just to keep us on our toes. Sullivan. And there's Burgess. And Burgess is just going to burrow here. He's not far away. And Sullivan's got them set left to Murray. And he holds it up to Marsh. He's going to go again. And Campton for the second time got him. And for the second time stopped his progress. Only a couple left. They're very, very deep to the right here. And it's Kelly who works it. And Kelly goes alone and gets swatted by Hammond in a good tackle. Last here for Lakes. Sullivan away to Murray. Murray and Moran. It's a sickening bounce, and there's trouble, and it's taken by Griffiths, and they'll get a penalty for inside the 10. They'll get a penalty here. Murray's not too pleased about it, but he can read about it in the paper tomorrow. And there are some brows being wiped amongst the Kurri support here, because that was very awkward indeed, and Cameron Moran needed the go-go gadget legs. So Griffiths it is who taps and gives it away. And that's the 11, Jaden Young, who's been very involved so far, taken a couple of good carries. Granger and Gilmore. And now here's Holman. The games between these sides both been low-scoring affairs, 16-14 and 14 all. So 3 tries has been enough to win both of them. And it seems tense and tight again here today. As there's a kick from Wyborn down to Kennedy, who's looked safe enough so far. And he's taken in a good one down low by Holman. Big responsibility on him today. Kurri Holman into the side for CU. And that's Cal Guest under the headgear, who I'd reckon is the smallest bloke on the field. Now it's Varka, who'd be close to the biggest, or certainly the most solid. And they work this side with Burgess. And Murray's going to pump this down. And that's inside the 40, so a wicked bounce would be awkward. But Niscott's got it at the second time of asking. And back he comes. And there's sting in the defence. And unity in the line for Lakes. They look well organised. They look keen. And they're up quickly here. And Kurri with Hardy. And when a centre's taking it on third tackle, it might suggest the forwards are just a little bit tired. But that's a good ball there from Gilmore to Holman to Cullen. And now there's a chance out here with some space. And Hammond goes down. There's a couple of tackles left. And Holman goes on a run here. And still Holman. And Hardy had a chance. But it was a tough pass from Holman. It was out in front of him, and Hardy did his best slip fielding. And it wasn't quite enough. So probably a low percentage play there from Kurri. And it gives Lakes a good chance. Just inside their own half. Crowd here is not too bad. It's an overcast sort of a day. We had a little threat of rain earlier. Perhaps a little bit lower than expected given the quality of fare between these two teams so far this season. But as usual, the old boys stand is the most populated. It's the focus of all the action. As Marsh comes on. Sullivan finds Burgess. But they're sending multiple runners up all the time. Sean Bossett was there who came barrelling through the line and didn't get the ball. But he's lining up again. And it is Boss. And he's got a little bit of a step for a front rower. And they go up the centre here with Murray. Tough pass, but he took it well. Now Marsh. Marsh has gone past one. He's gone past another. He goes past the same bloke a second time. Now he goes past another. And they're going to finally wrestle him down about a yard out. A great run from Marcus Marsh. And Sullivan's going to find Jack Kelly. And that might have taken a deflection. It's another sickener of a bounce. And Hardy in the end, with 17 fumbles and a bit of a Superman dive, finally just forces the ball over the dead ball line. And Kurri will drop it out. But Lakes are throwing a bit at them here. And the big forwards on the edge are doing damage. So Moran kicks off. And that's got a bit of height as well as length. And so Boss will only just be over the 40 when he's met with contact. It was Holman who's putting himself about so far. And there's a penalty. Too long in the play the ball. Aylett's been pretty clear about that already. So both sides have given one now, and Sullivan decides to think about a run. Aylett wasn't ready. So that's the 30 you can see on your screen here. And it's Jay Sullivan to take the tap. Kurri needing to withstand this. Here's Marsh. Sullivan away to Murray. And Murray to Boss. And he's crunched down low there. But they're set out to the right here. DeSax is at the front and Kelly's at the back, and Kelly's gone past one. And it was his own opposite number, Mitch Cullen, who whacked him and put a stop to any momentum. But here's DeSax. And flat to Burgess, and they got them all lined up there. Boss was there as well. And now they're set up to the left. Kurri want to be careful here. It's Sullivan who goes up the middle. Sullivan still twisting. But the defence is stout and solid. One tackle left. Kelly at dummy half. Murray at first receiver. Long arcing ball to Varka. Griffiths couldn't take him. Now it's Charles. Back to Varka. In fact, it's Kennedy who's going to go into touch. And he nearly ended up in the car park. He turned up on the wing unexpectedly there, Cole Kennedy. And he very nearly ended up in the grandstand unexpectedly. Good shot. Good defence from Kurri. It's still only 4-0 here. And we've had 19 minutes. Morgan Campbell with you on Bar TV with this delayed game from round 12. And so on come Kurri with Holman. They're competing here. The gun dummy halves from both these sides out, of course. I mentioned Terrence CUCU earlier. Chris Adams is out of action as well. He's with the Newcastle Knights and is expected to be an outside chance of a call-up tomorrow when they play the Melbourne Storm. Very slow play the ball here. And now they barge forward and there's a ball out the back which didn't need to be thrown. And they're just turning over a little bit too much ball here. It was the 17 mixed steal. And the ball just hoiked out the back a little bit haphazardly there. They're giving Lakes too much field position. And you wonder how long they can hang on. So away they go again with Kennedy. And Kennedy almost went through there. And this is Charles. And he's a very evasive customer, Charles, and he's strong in the contact. Now Sullivan. And the looping ball out to Kelly. And now they might have a number or two out here. It's Kennedy. And he's taken. And Kennedy's turning up everywhere. Now Wikanofo, who's easy to spot in those boots. Now there's a flat ball that's taken. Up in the line. It's Daniel French in 19 who's got it. It's the second time that flat ball's been thrown at the line. It's the second time Kurri have tried to intercept it. It's the first time they've succeeded. And they get away with it again. Cullen. And Hammond. Now Cullen again. Can they just hang on to the ball here? It might be a set just to steady. It's Steele. And now it's Cullen. And that's a good set. That's a really good set, and it's a good kick as well over the head of Wikanofo. And it might just sit down in the in goal, and if it does, it'll be a challenge for Cal Guest. He might not get out of there. He hasn't. He hasn't. Great kick from Mitch Cullen. Great chase from the troopers over there on the left. And Cal Guest is forced in goal. And there's a big chance here. Well, that's what good sides can do. They copped all the pressure, and now they've put some on themselves. And Murray kicks out. And this looks like a big run from Mick Steele. It was. Off the back fence. Now Hammond. They're very deep to the right here. They're not going to go that deep just yet, but now they do with Granger. And here's Niscott and Moran. There wasn't too much fizz in that attack. Granger's at first receiver. He might send a forward at them here. He does. And it's a good run there from Young. And Holman's got them deep again. They're really deep now. Granger. And Cullen. And Cullen will go at himself. Cullen throwing a great ball out the back. And he's taken down it. There is Hammond. They've got numbers this way if they use them. They do use them, and Hardy's in. Cade Hardy for Kurri. And that was great play from Kurri. Cullen throwing the dummy and then throwing the offload. And then they regrouped quickly and got it out there to Cade Hardy. And if he didn't want to score, he could have thrown it to his winger, who was unmarked as well. And after having very little of the game in the first 23 and a half minutes, Kurri find themselves all square and with a kick to go in front. They've withstood the pressure on their own line, and at their first opportunity, they've put one on themselves. And Hardy now has the chance to convert his own try. It's a tough ask. He's a few metres in. Not many. But that will be a real lift. I mean, they should fancy themselves against Lakes anyway, after beating them last week and drawing with them a fortnight ago and drawing with them earlier in the season. But after a shaky start, that's a lift. And here's Hardy for the lead. On the left. With the left. It's there. 6-4. So Kurri have the lead here. It's Kurri 6, Lakes 4, and just behind the try line over there, that looks like Marcus Marsh, who's in some trouble for Lakes, and it is. He's just getting to his feet now. No, it's not Marcus Marsh, in fact. But whoever it is likely to come off. No, it's 12. It's Chris Randall. And he would be a big loss if he was out of action for the day. So Granger takes it eventually and finds French. Dear, oh dear. That would have put a bit of a pinhole in any momentum. Here's Steele. Holman away. And Wyborn. Cullen. And Cullen's just going to hoof this down. There's a deflection. There's play on, and I'd say there'll be a knock on Lakes here. There is. So Kurri are going to get this back. And suddenly they're getting a few breaks here. It'll be a Kurri ball on the 40. Unlucky for Lakes, really. I mean, it was a kick into hands. But those sort of things are a complete lottery. So into the scrum. And that's Jaden Young in 11. And now Granger finds Moran, who finds the dirt. He fumbles it. And Lakes can play on here with Murray. And he'll look for a scrum. They're putting pressure on themselves. That's about the 4th time they've knocked it on, coming out of their own half. And Lakes will hurt them. You can see the line set out here as we pan wide. That's Varka. And now the 15 carting it up. That's Kirtley Hope Hodges. And now the 16, Chance Burgess. Bang, bang. a couple of big units, one after the other with fresh legs. It's a slow play, the ball. Sullivan to Kelly. Kelly to Wikanofo. You can see those boots from 3 kilometres away. Sullivan, DeSax, and Murray. And Murray feeds it short to Marsh, who's just collared there. He's still looking to get it away. It's a forward pass. So Kurri get away with it again. And Lake's attack, not quite coming together on the Kurri line after that very slick first try. They haven't been able to hurt them again. So, it's Cullen for Kurri. And he looks for Hammond. Or in fact, Harrison. And this is Hammond, and Cullen got tangled up in that tackle very awkwardly, and he might be a bit sore. It looks like his knee. Mitch Cullen in back play, he's gone down. It was a innocuous incident, but a little bit awkward. Terribly unfortunate. Here's Wyborn! Bang! Chance Burgess has got to be a shoulder charge, I'd have thought. But it was a good connection. It was a beauty. But it was illegal. I'm just looking at Cullen here in the background. He's in some trouble. He's going to try and soldier on here, but it's his knee. He got twisted around, just got tangled up in a tackle that he wasn't involved in. The play went his way. He's going to try and run it off. And they need him to, because he's very important to them, as I said before. 10 minutes 40 to go here, and here's Hammond. Kurri on their second venture into Lakes half. And this is Steele. And that beautiful side of that kicking up into the air. I don't know why they do it, but they do. Here's Granger. And there's a good run, and they've busted them here with Young. And Kurri have the roll, and Sullivan's injured there and hobbling back into the line. Now Cullen. And Wyborn. And Wyborn puts it on the toe. That looks too deep. He smashed it. He clobbered the kick and put it long. And they had them running there. And Wyborn just put it too heavy. So just under the 10-minute mark here. Varka brings it back for Lakes. It's a good contest, this. It's tense. Kurri 6, Lakes 4. In Volume 3. Of this little rivalry that's opened up this season. Now Sullivan looking for DeSax. And he got belted there by Wyborn, 13 on 13. And a bit of afters as well. It's Keane out there in the middle. Here's Sullivan, who's recovered from that little knock he took. And now he gets another one from French, who got up and wrenched him around. Murray now. And there's Charles. He didn't know too much about that one, but took it in the end. And he's still fighting with them. Josh Charles is very good in the contact. There's a second effort over the top there, which goes unpunished. Charles isn't too happy, but now here's Murray away to Burgess. And Burgess is just shrugging them off. He's had an impact already out there, Chance Burgess. On they come with Murray. And Murray just looking for Griffiths to just shadow this over the dead ball line. And so, Kurri come back again. Lakes have only scored one try. They've had about 6 or 7 sets at the Kurri line. And they keep being repelled. But with 8 minutes until half-time, it looks like we might be in for another low-scoring one. And another close one. And that's Harrison. And this is French. And they're up quickly on him. Probably the biggest unit out there. Now Wyborn over to Cullen, who seems to have regained fitness. He dumps it out the back to Niscott. And Niscott will go on a run here, and he just fancied that for a moment. At least until he met that shoulder. And over they come here to Granger. Arrowing off the outside of the boot. It was outside the 40, but Varka's just trotting back a little bit slowly there, and he might have to pick this up. He does, and he throws it to Kennedy. Can they get out? They can. Oh, great play. And Varka now has it stripped, and there's a chance now for Kurri. And he's going to be dragged in field. It's play on. There's a good ball there to Granger, and Kurri could have scored one of the most bizarre tries you will ever see. We will have an inquiry here. Murray's being told to shut up by Tom Aylett. Cassandra McDonald's being involved. Good afternoon and welcome to Kurri Sports Ground for round 11 of the Newcastle Rugby League. What's going to happen here? It was Varka who had the ball stripped, I think, from Josh Griffiths. And they're going to say try. Well, there you go. Incredible. And now there'll be a call out because Brad Murray wants a word. And Tom Aylett is not pleased with him. It's Hayden Granger's try. Aylett having a word to Murray here. And I think you can tell from our pictures that Murray's doing most of the talking and all of the gesticulating. I wonder if he plays charades in his spare time because there's a lot of arms flailing about there. But the salient point is that Kurri are 10-4 in front and they've got a kick to come, and what bizarre circumstances it was. Varka picking it up, giving it to Kennedy, who then gave it back to Varka, and you thought, well, they've done it. Varka's out of the in-goal here, stripped by Griffiths, picked up by Holman, who then fed Granger, who strolled through a gap and scored. And Hardy here can put them out to an 8-point gap. Here's Hardy. From a better position than his last one, which did go over. That looks all right too. That's a perler. 12-4. Kurri have the lead. And this game is bubbling along beautifully. So it's Murray to kick off. His blood pressure still very high, you'd imagine. That's an awkward kick off. And French is going to have to pick this up, or Griffiths is going to have to pick this up, and finally he does. Griffiths, the key man there in the scoring of that try. Not only did he strip the ball, but then managed to stay in field and get the ball away. Now there's a hint of a high shot, but the crowd are involved in this game. Here's Cullen and Wyborn. And look at this. There's a bit of throwing it around and Steele. And they're walking that fine line. They're throwing it around and taking a few risks. Now here's Holman up the middle. He thought he saw a penalty, and he did. He did see a penalty. The markers weren't square. And Corey Holman ran at the right time. And what a chance this is now. Granger finds touch. And that line you can see, lineswoman McDonald just short of is the 30. And so Moran finds Young, who started running about when that penalty was blown. Holman away. Granger. Kurri with the running in their legs at the moment. Hammond. A bit of light rain falling now. Cullen. And Niscott. And Niscott's just going straight at them. And they've got tackles in hand. And a lot of men to the right of the play of the ball. Here's Wyborn and Steele, who's run keenly so far. They've got a couple left. They're deep to the left here. Cullen. Flat ball. It's a pretty ordinary one in the end, but it's played on by Cullen. What will they say here? Guest doesn't pick it up cleanly, and they say knock on Kurri. And then knock on Lakes, and a Lakes feed. 3 minutes to go. Kurri 12, Lakes 4 in a cracker of a contest so far. Here's Ikonovo. how Lakes would love to just jag one here. But they got a long way to go. That looks like the 15, Hope Hodgetts. And now there's some space to run into there. That's the 14, Josh Hayes, who just strolled through there and took about 15 metres off them. Kurri need to be careful here. Sullivan away to Kelly, away to Ikanofo. And Ikanofo's got low there by Hardy. That was almost an ankle tap. And now Hardy's got a problem. He's down for the second time. So referee Aylett strolls over again. The best view in rugby league here at Kurri. We're up in the press box and we're about 10 yards from the action and about, I reckon 5 yards up in the air. It's beautiful. You can see the whole ground. And if you didn't like them, you could spit at one of these players. I'm not advocating that, I'm just saying that's how close you are. So Ikanofo's up, Hardy's up, and play's going to go on here. There's 2 minutes and 12 seconds left. And they're going to go deep to Kelly. And he just thumps this down, and there's a bit of chat there between Niscott and Griffiths. Niscott thought about the pass, then thought better of it, and that was probably the good call. Job for Kurri now, you'd think, is just to get to half-time. There's a lot of whinging and wailing going on out there from Mick Steele. Oh, and that's a good contact. I think that's Hardy, who's been down injured twice and keeps volunteering to take hit-ups. Now Steele. And he's still looking to throw the pass out the back. And now Holman. And there were no markers there, so he goes on a run and gets belted. Great tackle, Hope Hodgetts. Niscott away. He's French. And that's good contact up against Marsh. And its last tackle, the line you can see is the half. Now Granger. And he just jams this down long to Kennedy, who dropped it. And comes back to see a wall of blue. It's a great chase. Kurri with their tails up here. And 64 seconds until half-time. Here's Guest. And he tests out Hardy, who's up to it. There's been players going down left, right and centre here, and all of them seem to be on the field as there's Ikanofo winding up. I don't think we've seen anybody actually go off injured yet. We've had about 4 or 5 stoppages. Here's Varka. 36 seconds left. There is time if they want to try something here, and they may just with Burgess and Murray. And now the ball over the top, and oh dear, Griffiths got a palm on that, but now Charles has got some space. And there's 30 seconds left. Here's Josh Charles for Lakes. And still Charles, and still Charles. And a good tackle down low from Hammond. 20 seconds. And the penalty comes, and it's a pretty cynical one with 20 seconds left. But they're going to tap and go, are they? No, they're not. The wrong mark. The Kurri players are screaming. And they're going to take the kick. Well, they haven't got much choice, really. I mean, 3 seconds left until half-time. They could have chucked it up in the air and just hope for the best, but in the end, the kick-it goal, not a bad option. I think Kurri had that in mind when they gave the penalty away. And so the last act of this highly entertaining and very keenly fought first half will be Brad Murray trying to clip the lead back to 6. Funny first half. Lakes had all of it for about 25 minutes, but then Kurri got one chance off a dropout and scored, and they've had the best of it ever since as Murray takes the kick and puts it over. It's 12-6 at half-time. Kurri with the lead at home in Volume 3 of this terrific tussle. And we go to the break on Bar TV. We'll be back shortly with the second half to see if Kurri can keep this thing going. Back shortly.
Hello winter, and hello another great deal from your local Supergas. All new customers can get 2 45-kilo LPG cylinders for the price of 1. That's right, 2 for the price of 1. Call Supergas now on 13 78 72. Yes, we can.
Well, welcome back to Kurri Sports Ground, round 12 of the Real NRL. And it's Kurri up against Lakes. And Kurri have the ascendancy here, 12-6 at half-time. A keenly forward first half. Kurri had a lot of attack on their line and kept turning it away. And that was the story of the game. They took their chances when they occasionally got into Lakes territory themselves. We've had an incredible announcement at half-time that the clock at the ground is running not 15, not 30, but 27 seconds fast. So we're going to get 27 extra seconds at the end of this game as a bit of a bonus. So that's good. And away we go for the second half with Cameron Moran hoisting this up. That's a very nasty kickoff. And again, the Lakes players are going to be only out to the 10 when they meet the defence. So that's a bit of a weapon for Kurri, that kickoff from Cameron Moran. We've seen a few of them today. Here's Ikanofo. He's a bit of a weapon for Lakes. And on they come with Burgess. French came up and missed and then came back and got him. But that's a good run. Lakes might have got a razz at half-time. They didn't take their chances. And they should really be leading this game on the balance of play as Hope Hodgetts goes down. It'll be interesting to see how they respond, but they always make a late run. They can be 10 points behind with 10 to go and just find a way. You've got to stick with them right to the end. And this is Griffiths for Kurri. Here's Niscott in the one. And now Hardy, who's been very eager to get involved and help the forwards out. And they're using their backs here. That was Harrison, and now Cullen has it. He's got a big boot. And he got plenty of air on this. And finally it's taken by Kennedy, who was safe enough at fullback in the first half. Was part of that horrible moment for Lakes where he and Varka hoiked it around in their own in-goal, and then finally Varka had it stripped and Kurri scored that incredible try. But now Cullen drags down Guest, and now it's Hayes. And they're into Kurri territory again. That's where they spent most of the first half. Ikanofo. Cullen defending well again. No signs of that injury he had in the first half. He's moving a little bit slowly. Now Murray. And now it's Marsh, and Marsh bumps off Moran and tried to bump past another and finally got bumped in the ribs from Holman down low. And Murray's going to go the short side here and just dinks this one over into the in-goal. The bounce will be important. They're just going to watch it, and I think it had to be knocked dead in the end. It did, by Niscott. So Ethan Niscott forces it dead, and Kurri will have to drop it out from under their own posts. And the rain has just got a little heavier here. Visible now. A few umbrellas going up around the ground. More people in the Sattler stand than would otherwise be. And so Moran kicks this very long. That's a 58-metre dropout. That's a beauty. And when Kennedy finally took it, he was able to give it to Burgess, who wound up. And he got put down strongly. It's been a physical contest, this. Sullivan away to Marsh. Oh, cannonball through the middle there. Corey Holman. I get the sense he's enjoying his game in first grade. Would see you out. Kelly. And Kelly goes flat, and Hayes dropped it. They're going to pick it up with Guest, but Kurri will get this back. Josh Hayes at the line under pressure. Turns it over. And Kurri again. Cops some pressure. But again, they come out with the ball. And unharmed. Now, interesting setup off this scrum. They've now got 4 on one side and 2 on the other. I thought they were going to do a bit of a split line. But there's a run there. Oh, and that's turned over by Granger straight away. So Lakes have a chance with Varka. And still Varka. And he's heading in field and he's dragged down. Straight away, Lakes with another chance here. Kurri being very charitable in possession, coming off their own line. DeSax. Kelly's out the back here. He gets it. It's Kelly, and it's Kennedy, and it's flat to Ikanofo. He'll be hard to stop from there, Ikanofo. He finds Cal Guest, who tumbles over the line and does a somersault and gets it down. And Lakes are back. It's 12-10 with a kick to come. And that is the start their coach would have demanded of them at half-time. Kurri just giving away too much ball. It had to tell eventually. You can't give last year's premiers so many chances to just camp out on your goal line. And so it has proven. And if Murray can put this over, we'll be all square. 5 minutes and 20 seconds gone in this first half. Just a pretty simple sweep in the end. Kelly to Kennedy to Ikanofo, and I reckon Ikanofo could have done it himself. But he decided to give it out there to Cal Guest to get the try with a bit of acrobatics thrown in for good measure. Here's Murray to square it up. It's wobbling. It's over. Just faded back in the breeze. It's all square here. Kurri 12. Lakes United 12. With still 34 minutes to go. So Moran again hoists this to the sky. And again it's awkward, but it's taken. And Burgess comes back. And here's Sullivan away to Marsh, who's been very eager today, and he's hit very hard every time he's run the ball. Away they come. Just rolling forward here, keeping it fairly simple. And Kelly found Hayes there. The defence is stinging. And Murray sends it long. The touchline's a factor here for Griffiths, but he takes it well and finds Niscott there with an awkward pass. Niscott did well. And Griffiths might get himself. Oh, Tom Aylett's fallen over. The crowd love it. Nothing funnier in rugby league than a referee falling over. Schadenfreude are all around the ground here. He's managed to regain his feet. I almost didn't notice. What a shame that would have been. Now French barges into them, the big unit. So here's Marcel Ikanofo for Lakes. Apologies for the little stoppage there. We had a little catastrophic technical problem as Hayes comes forward and gets belted. He gets clattered. And now Murray kicking out of trouble and finding the line here. He's a big chance of a 40-20, which would completely turn the game. And he's got it. Oh, what a kick. What a kick from Brad Murray. Inside his own 40. And he's found touch about 15 centimetres out from the Kurri line. Big moment in a big game. The good news is that in the couple of minutes we were out of action there, he didn't miss too much. Kurri had a set, Lakes had a set, Kurri had a set, Lakes had a set, etc., etc. And now Lakes have a chance. You've come back at the right time. There's a dump on Hope Hodgetts. Kurri need to hold firm here. Good tackle down low on Lyndon Hills, the 17, has just come on. DeSax out the back. So it's dropped. It's dropped by Kelly. What a moment. You just sensed, as there's a bit of stink out there, you just sensed that Lakes could have applied the pressure there and really deflated Kurri in the end, Kurri are going to get it back. 27 minutes to go here. It remains Kurri 12, Lakes 12. And there's a stoppage. Mitch Cullen, who's very strangely wearing his jumper tucked in at the back and untucked at the front, which is an interesting look. He's now untucked altogether, which is much more tidy. And so Kurri bring it out of their own territory. They just need to hang on to the ball here, as there's a bit of sting in defence from Lakes. And you can always tell when a good tackle's been made when you see the defensive line running forward to keep up with the referee. You just need to settle here, Kurri. There's big defence from Lakes. They're lifting. They do this. They do this often. And they're making ground without the football at the moment. After the contact, who can they look to? Ben Wyborn. He gets driven back. The play the ball is slow. And Cullen is just going to get them out of there. But he's not going to get them too far. That'll pitch on the 40. And it's over Kennedy's head. And he's got to go back. That's important. Big territory gain there for Kurri. But it might not be if Kennedy goes around a couple. And he has. And Moran puts him down. And now Marcus Marsh. And there's a bit of stench. Hello. Starting to get a little bit tetchy this game. Here's Ikanofo, who's been looking for space most of the day. He doesn't find any there. But you can just sense that Lakes have picked it up. Boss. And they've got another tackle in hand here. Here's Murray. And he's scheming here. It's a flat ball out there to Charles, who's away. Trouble now. Charles. Moran's got him. And they put him down. It's last tackle. And Varka finds Murray. And Murray finds a bit of a wobbly kick. But this could pitch and go anywhere. Niscott's got to be careful. Niscott is careful, but he's taken by Ikanofo. Fair play to Niscott for not thinking of throwing it to Josh Harrison there. But Lakes have just lifted. 24 minutes, 30 seconds to go on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell with you for Kurri versus Lakes, round 3. 14 all in their first meeting. A narrow Kurri win in their second. 12 all here. And it's Boss from the dropout. It's a real slugfest, this. DeSax is in a dummy half. He finds Burgess. It looks like Jay Sullivan is off the field at the moment. That's why DeSax is deputising at dummy half. Now Boss has dropped that, but he might have found his boot. He's going to kick it ahead. He's going to play on here, referee Aylett, is he? Surely not. What is he going to say here? Now Boss dropped that and then managed to kick it ahead as he did. Aylett had the whistle to the mouth and then allowed play to go on, and Lakes are going to get the feed. Well, that's incredible. And there are some remonstrations from the crowd. Well. That very nearly became a Lakes try. It's a funny rule, that one. I mean, a player drops the ball, makes a mistake, but if he just happens to get a toe to it, it's all play on. I remember one with Benji Marshall in a semi-final a couple of years ago against the Dragons. And it just, everybody stops. That's why it's so dangerous. As Varka has it here for Lakes, they've got a full set 10 out. Pressure on Kurri. They've withstood so much. Burgess. So DeSax, and he finds Kelly, and Kelly finds Hayes, and Hayes has got some space to run into. It looked like it had opened up there for a minute. That'd be third tackle. How long can Kurri hold on here? It's a slow play the ball. Murray, flat. This might be it. Oh, they look to open again there. The defence is good. It's dogged. Now De Sachs from dummy half. That would be the ultimate insult if the dummy half went over after all these tackles, but that's last. Boss is there. Now Murray. They're up quickly on Murray. They forced him to run. They forced him to cut one out and give it to Charles, who'll be hard to stop from there. They get it through and it's fallen on by Griffiths. They repel them again. It's a dropout. Well, the effort from this Kurri side today in defence has been incredible. And they've got 22 minutes to go. It's another tight, low-scoring kind of game between these two sides this year. So out comes the kick. And De Sachs takes it and finds Burgess, who just rolls up towards the defence. And they try to dump him and twist him there. They want to be careful. The penalty would be on. A penalty here, and they definitely take the 2. That 2 just on half-time starting to look pretty important as French gets over the top on Hills. Now De Sachs, who's wily out of there, and he's caught roughly by French, or by Campton, in fact, in 18. Now the flat ball over there to Winkenofo. It's found the turf. Yeah. It's found the touchline. Well, the pressure was building, but the ball finds the touchline. And Cal Guest did the best he could, but he couldn't keep it in. And as we approach the last 20 minutes of this game, Kurri somehow is still in it. And really, they've turned over so much ball and faced so many tackles in their own 20, they've got no right to be close. Cullen to feed the scrum here. They must be getting tired. But they just need to hang on to the ball, and Lakes need to take their chances. There's a big tackle. The defence has had a lot more sting in it in this second half, particularly from Lakes. Oh, that had plenty of sting in it on Kate Hardy. There's nothing particularly illegal about it. He slipped into it, but he was rocked. Gilmore back on the field. Niscott was trailing there. Now Campton. And he's thrown one out the back. I don't know that that's the play at this stage. On they go with Granger. There's no thought of just hanging onto it and getting through the next few minutes. Here's Wyborn. And he's barreled. And there's another offload. They may have numbers out here, you know. It's Hammond. And Hammond was tempted to throw it. Thought better of it. And Hardy has it on last. And it's charged down again. And that's taken there by Ikanofo. I don't think Hammond thought he could take it. I think he thought he was offside. And now there's a dodgy play. The ball and a knock on. Well. Marcel Ikanofo is adjudged to have knocked it on. And that's a big lift for Kurri. They'd had the misfortune of a charge down kick, giving over cheap field possession. And now they have the fortune of getting some themselves. 18 and a half left here on Bar TV. And that's Hammond in the 12. He's been strong today. Brady Hammond. And now the 14. That's Mitch Bird. He's only just come on. There's a penalty to Kurri. Well. Too much work in the play of the ball. And Granger's not happy with the ball, I think. He's thrown it away in disgust and asked for another one, so I don't know what happened there. But he's got a decent connection with that one and sent it off the fence of the old boys' stand. And Kurri starter set 20 out. And his football's bouncing around everywhere. But Moran taps it and gives it to Bird. It would be a sucker punch if after all the pressure Kurri were to score here. Gilmore. They're very deep to the left here. The winger, Harrison, is on the 30-metre line. Here's Cullen. And he's looking inside to Hardy. And Hardy's looking again to Wyborn. That was a neat bit of play. It doesn't come to too much in the end, though. Training ground move. Holman gave it to Gilmore, who just puts his head down, heads for the line. He's not far away there, Gilmore. Not far away at all. He might have got that down. Oh, well. No, he didn't. He's coming back out. Holman now. He'll put it on the toe. He'll follow through. And it's going to go dead. And be another dropout. We've seen a few today. Wouldn't Corey Holman have been a hero in his first game, replacing CUCU, if he'd have just strolled through and fallen on that to give Kurri the lead? 16.5 left here. Kurri 12, Lakes 12. This is a perler, and that's a knock-on, I think. It's a knock-on off the kick. Mitch Bird feels he knocked it back. He's not too pleased. He'll have words with referee Aylett, but Aylett won't change his mind. The momentum is shifting every couple of minutes here. You thought Lakes were getting the better of it, and then you thought Kurri might just put themselves in front, and now you don't know what the hell's going to happen. So Murray finds Ikanofo. You fancy Lakes if it's close late on. They're a great side in the last 10 minutes. But here's Ikanofo again. He's getting more and more involved and looking more and more dangerous, it must be said. And not just the danger of retina damage from those incredibly garish boots. Oh, it's a fumble again. And Holman has it. And the game's getting a bit ratty. The skills are deserting some of these players. Here's Bird. That's an awful pass to Cullen. I don't think he'll be thanking him for that one. But Cullen makes meters after the contact. We see that so often from him. Then he lashes out a bit. This is boiling now. Gilmore. Hammond. Crowd getting involved. There's a lot of get him onside calls going out. Mostly from people who were front onto the action and wouldn't have a clue who was onside and who wasn't. But it's that sort of game. Here's Cullen and Granger. Niscott. And it's pretty slow in the end. That would be last, I would think. No, it's only 4. Holman. He'll line up Campton. Campton lines up Boss and goes past him. Boss comes again. This is last. It's Granger. It just dribbles this through. There's traffic in there. Kennedy's there, though. He's got it, and he goes down, and he's just going to lie there. And there's a lot of talk from some of the old footy players in the old boys stand about voluntary tackles. They are a blight on the modern game, it must be said. But Lakes look a little bit tired here. You see our shot, there's a lot of them in our narrow camera angle. They're bunched up. And there's Hills. We're inside the last 13.5 minutes here. Here's DeSax. Now Boss. Oh, and Cullen came in and got him. There's good contact here. Kelly kicking long. And that looks like it'll go dead. It's got that sort of roll on, but Niscott thinks better of it and picks it up. Kelly's leading the chase. Kelly doesn't get him. Niscott still going. And Niscott's going to try and throw Guest away. And he can't. But that was a good little mazy run from Ethan Niscott, who's taking his time getting up. Oh, and there's a barreling tackle on Harrison. They're going to say it wasn't a dangerous throw. I tell you, it was borderline. Now there's one a bit high on Gilmore. And the protestations grow louder. Now Campton. That's a good charge from their big front rower, who's been in plenty of close finishes before. Now they've got the roll on for Granger to kick. That's off the outside of the boot. There's a big chase here from Moran, straight up the middle of the park. And it'll be Moran versus Kennedy. 1-on-1, and Kennedy wins it and then goes past a couple more. And he's finally taken down. And that couldn't be another injury to Kate Hardy, could it? No, I think it's Granger who's hobbling, and he's heading out to the wing. And on they come with Marsh. And that looks like Jay Sullivan back out there into dummy half now. So DeSax's stint at hooker is over, but he's still out there and playing lock again. Now there's a flat ball to Burgess in 10. That'd be Casey Burgess. And it's Murray on last. And he just drops this in, and Niscott picks it up. And again, he'll try and go past that first chaser, but this time he won't succeed. And he's up slowly again. Here's Harrison, who's entitled to be a bit gun-shy after his last carry where he was flung to the ground acrobatically. Now Griffith's helping out, and there might be some fatigue amongst the Kurri players now. These sides have gone very hard at each other. And finally there will be a forward. It's Gilmore. And that's the 40. So Granger decides he can have a go. And he'll leave the kicking to Cullen, who's pretty flat at the line, it must be said here, for last tackle. But he just jags it downfield, and it's twisting awkwardly and away from Kennedy, who hasn't had much help from the bounce of the ball today, it must be said. And finally Cole Kennedy faces up to that wall, and he's taken down on the 10. And that's Guest. And he's clattered there by Cullen. That's a terrible play, the ball. They're going to say play on. Again, I thought about blowing it up. He won't have to now because Hammond's got it for Kurri. Ikanofo got clouted. And it's his second mistake in a few minutes. Kurri have 6 tackles here. One of them is with Gilmore. 15 out. Just under 10 minutes left, and Gilmore has an injury. 10 minutes to go. And Kurri with a great chance. And I just wonder if in this little moment of regrouping, they think about putting one over. Mitch Cullen hit the post with a field goal earlier in the season in that 14-all draw with the last kick of the game. I wonder if they'll try it again. It might be a bit early. 10 to go. But it's a little bit slippery. There's been a bit of drop ball in this second half. You just might be happy to take the lead. Remember, at the end of the game, there'll be 27 extra seconds played after the clock on the scoreboard says 0. Apparently it's running fast. Nobody seems to know why, but it is. It's the joy of local rugby league. Now, Gilmore's not experiencing the joy of local rugby league. He's going off. Brock Gilmore being helped from the field here. He's put in a good stint. He'd only just come back on, but already made a couple of good carries. And he'll get some applause. Now, there's a 15 on the field, I'm told. That 15 is Nathan Robertson. Robertson. I was told Robinson, but it says in the program Robertson. I'm going to go with that. My apologies, Nathan, if I've got it wrong. So off goes Gilmore. And Kurri have had a chance to think about this here. Daniel French is going to come on for Gilmore. And here they go. With plenty of tackles in hand here. That's Steele, who's been strong today. And now Granger back inside. That's a good charge. He gets down low as Jaden Young. He doesn't quite get to the line. The crowd were up for that. They thought he'd scored. Now there's a flat ball to French. And he'll try and get himself down. The big ship. Not quite. Holman looks like a dummy half. Now Cullen, who fumbles and throws a flat ball. He'll do well to hold on to that. I don't think he has held on to it. He hasn't. It's come out. It's Nathan Robertson with his first touch. It was a flat pass thrown hard. It was a jarring contact, and it was a knock-on. 9 to go. Goodness me. What a chance that was. They had the big mo there. So Kelly feeds. And Ikanofo's dropped it again. And it's kicked ahead. They've just got to fall on it. Someone will fall on it. They have fallen on it. Oh, what a try. What a sensation. Kurri Holman into the side, replacing CU, has scored an incredible try. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Ikanofo taking it one off the ruck, one off the scrum. Dropped it over his shoulder. And then it was fruit salad. It was kicked ahead, and Kurri Holman in number 9, in for CU today, fell on it first, and Kurri have the lead. Incredible. They had no right to score there. And Kate Hardy has a kick from in front to put Kurri 6 points up with 8 minutes to go. And that's the second try they've scored from the opposition having the ball. There was the strip on Varka in the first half, and then that. And Hardy has this lined up. What a debut for Kurri Holman. He's been very good. He's made strong tackles. He's made a couple of good runs out of dummy half to draw penalties and to get the momentum going. He looks a prospect. And a good replacement for CU. And here's Hardy, who with a swing of this left boot can put them 6 clear. It's there. Well. 7 minutes to go. Kurri 18, Lakes 12. Bar TV, delayed game in round 12. If Kurri win today, they would still be a point outside the 5, assuming Cessnock beat Maitland, which we shouldn't assume. But I don't have a score from that game at the moment. And the short kick-off is taken by Kurri, and Wyborn can bring it forward. Lakes with a loss today would leave themselves prone to attack. Macquarie could go ahead of them with a win against Central tomorrow. West would draw level with a win against South. Here's French. That's a big run. And Cullen, he'll just put this into the corner and he'll just watch this trickle towards the touchline. It's a horrible kick towards Kennedy. There's an appeal for a knock-on. And they're going to say knock-on. Goodness me. Tom Aylett says knock-on against Cole Kennedy down in the corner. And he's doing that gesture which makes Tom Aylett look like he's playing tunnel ball. And I think what he's trying to say through that bizarre charade is that Kennedy was faced away from his own goal line, but his hands pushed the ball forward. And Kurri now have a great chance. They could finish this here. Cullen's talking to Granger, and I'd reckon they're saying if we haven't scored by the 4th tackle, we'll try the 1. 5 minutes and 20 seconds left. And there's time off here. Kurri don't have enough in the scrum. So Hardy goes in. The modern scrum, the second rowers don't go in. The centre just ducks in there. And there's a dumping tackle and an appeal for a penalty. Aylett's thinking about it. A penalty in that position would almost finish Lakes off. There's Holman. Granger looks to the right, ends up going himself to no great effect. Are they thinking 1 here? Cullen's starting to loom up. Holman has it. He goes flat. And that's a good run there by Steele. This looks like field goal to me. Let's have a look where Cullen is. He's very, very deep. He gets it. He's going to try it. He's missed. In fact, he hasn't even put it dead. It's still going over to the corner. They're going to get 6 more tackles here. That's incredible. Well, Callum Guest is almost buried in the Kurri turf in the corner. That's one of the worst field goal attempts you'd ever see, and it was so bad that it was good. Cullen from 10 yards out, he had a lot to do. There's a short kick-off here from Murray, which is taken by Moran. Moran's a chance here. Cameron Moran for Curry's not far away. Oh, this is getting febrile now. Harrison from dummy half. He tries to get low. Kurri have another chance. They'll try another field goal if they don't score, you would think. Granger. French. They'd almost be better off taking it now, because when you're on the try line like that, the defenders have a head start. Now a run from Holman. There are 3 minutes and 47 seconds to go. Granger. Cullen. He might go inside here. He does. To Wyborn. It's dumped out the back by Wyborn. Granger. Long odds for the field goal here. It's last tackle. Oh, there's a stoppage. And Cullen is at dummy half. There's a second ball on the field. What will they do here? 3.5 left. Cullen. They're going to try it with Wyborn. Wyborn under the posts. And dead. Under the posts. In the AFL, it'd be a goal. But here, it ain't. And they've rather wasted that chance, Kurri. Lakes can still come at them. We couldn't have 2 draws between the same 2 sides in the same season, could we? Surely to heavens. 3 minutes left. And you'd have to say Kurri win and draw are the 2 most likely results. It would be a miracle for Lakes from here to win it. But they can still ruin the party as Hills is hit hard by Cullen there. We've seen him do that a few times. We're so close to the action in the box, we can feel those hits. Savage. Here's Murray. Flat ball. Marsh. He looked for Kennedy and couldn't find him. Murray's in at dummy half. And that's Burgess. That's Chance Burgess. And Cal Guest is calling for it on this side. And they're going to kick to him in a roundabout sort of a way. There's a lot on that bomb. Does Hardy have it? He doesn't. Hardy doesn't have it. And Lakes do. We're getting the grandstand finish here at Kurri. 18-12 with 2 to go. Ikanofo, who has some amends to make. And he's dropped it again, but it's a penalty. And he's binned him, goodness me. He sent Cade Hardy, in fact it's Holman, he sent him to the bin. And they'll have to stop now until Holman gets off the field. So the quick tap isn't on. But Tom Aylett says professional foul and sin bins Corey Holman with 2 minutes to go in the game. Lakes pushing for the draw. Cullen hits hard. What a contest this is. Sullivan, they've got him. Kurri have defended their line well today. DeSax, Murray, Kennedy, Charles, still Charles, Dipsy Doodle, around in a circle. He's still fighting with them, Josh Charles. He's almost away from them, you know. They've got a couple of tackles left here. They've got about 1.5 minutes left. Charles finally goes down. Murray, flat. That's an obstruction, I'd have thought. That's an obstruction, I'd have thought. Yep. One Lakes player ran into the other. And don't the home supporters love it? Because there is only 1 minute to go. And Kurri here shouldn't give the ball back. Cullen bangs it into touch. And there's no excuse for Lakes to get the ball back here, as French has it, and he's belted. Lakes will come up hard in defence. They'll try and force something. But with 40 seconds to go, they're asking a lot of themselves. Steele's tackled. Cullen is doing all the organising here. And he just goes himself there. There was a question over the markers. Cullen just stands and fights. He cops one in the head. There's stacks on the mill. This might get a bit savage in there now. There's some punches being thrown, I think. Cullen's very upset. It's a scrap. It's still going on in back play. And Kurri don't need to do this, because if they give away a penalty, they're going to give Lakes a chance here. 6 seconds left. So if this was to be a Lakes penalty, Lakes would get a go, but I don't know if it will be. Let's see. Let's see. Murray's been called over. Chance Burgess has been called over. Plenty of instructions, encouragements, suggestions from the grandstand. It's going to be a penalty to Kurri here. It's going to be a penalty to Kurri, I think. Aylett's talking to Cullen. It's a penalty to Kurri. Kurri are going to win this. There's 6 seconds left. Now there's no seconds left. Cullen gets it. Cullen kicks it into touch. And Kurri, for the second time this season, have pulled off the upset. They've knocked off last year's premiers. Twice in the 1 year, with the other game a draw. 4 on the trot for Kurri. They've beaten Lakes twice. They've beaten Macquarie once. They're knocking over all the big teams. And when somebody does that, you've got to think they're a big team as well. If they continue this form, Kurri are going to be right there at the end of the year. They have another scalp today. Lakes are entitled to be disappointed. They had their chances. They bashed and barged up against the Kurri line. They had set after set in their 20. But they just couldn't get it done. And a couple of mistakes at the wrong time have cost them the game. It's all over here. There is jubilation at Kurri Sports Ground this afternoon. It's becoming a familiar feeling because the boil-overs happened again. It's Kurri 18, Lakes 12 at Kurri Sports Ground. Morgan Campbell signing off for Bar TV. We'll see you again soon.
Hello winter, and hello another great deal from your local Supergas. All new customers can get 2 45-kilo LPG cylinders for the price of 1. That's right, 2 for the price of 1. Call Supergas now on 13 78 72. Yes, we can.